ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनासहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपदान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नमां विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो महावदान्याय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नाम्ने गौरात्मसे नमः। पंचतत्वात्मकं कृष्णं भक्तरूप स्वरूपकं भक्तावतारं भक्ताख्यं नमामि भक्तशक्तिकं। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधो दीनबंधो जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी श्री राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna, dear devotees of ISKCON Fort Lauderdale, Florida. My sincere gratitude to all of you, especially to His Grace Charanga Prabhu and His Grace Janeshwar Gauranga Prabhu for accepting this humble service from me, even though I am not qualified. Every month you accept this service from me and I am very grateful to all of you. Hare Krishna. So in just a few days, on September 11th, which is 6 days from now, it is the Divine Appearance Day, the Avirbhav Tithi of a very great Vaishnavi. And her name is Srimati Sita Thakurani. Srimati Sita Thakurani has a very important role to play in our Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya. And we will see how that is. Srimati Sita Thakurani, she appeared in Bengal, in India, more than 500 years ago. She was approximately 50 years elder to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu advented in the year 1486 AD. So several decades before that, in Bengal, Srimati Sita Thakurani appeared. Let us discuss, because her appearance is coming, let us discuss about her appearance. Srimati Sita Thakurani, who is a very dear associate of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, she appeared in a very, very, very special way. In fact, there are very few personalities who have appeared in such a divine way. And a divine birth indicates divine personality. So she is a divine personality. And let us hear how she appeared. It's amazing, incredible. In Bengal, in the Navadvip Mandal, there lived a very high class Brahman. By Brahman, we mean someone who has got very good sadachar, very good behavior, someone who is very clean, someone who is very faithful, who has faith in the Vedic culture and in the Supreme Lord. The name of this very exalted Brahman was Narasimha Das, and his wife was equally exalted, and she was also a great devotee of Lord Narasimhadev, and she was called Narasimha Dasi. There is Narasimha Das and there is Narasimha Dasi. Very wonderful couple, very pious Brahman Vaishnavas, and they were devotees of Lord Narasimhadev. They worshipped the Shaligram Shila of Lord Narasimhadev, and they lived happily. They had no children for many years, and they had a desire to have a child and bring up that child as an offering to the Supreme Lord. So they were praying to Krishna to bless them, if Krishna so desires, to bless them with a child. And every day they would go and bring beautiful flowers from the nearby forest and garden for the worship of their Shaligram, the Narasimha Shaligram Shila. One particular day, on a Panchami, Narasimha Das, he went alone to pick the flowers. And the reason was his wife, Narasimha Dasi, was 9 months pregnant. She had become pregnant and she was carrying a child and she was 9 months pregnant. So both of them were very happy that our prayers have been answered. Now we will get a wonderful daughter or we'll get a wonderful child who we will bring up in the service of Krishna. So because she was 9 months pregnant and she could go into labor anytime, Narasimha Das went alone to bring flowers for the puja. And Narasimha Das stayed at home. Narasimha Das went to the forest to get some flowers. And he went to one particular section of Ganga where there were many lotus flowers that were naturally blooming. It was early in the morning on this auspicious tithi of Panchami. And there were many lotus that were blooming, and these lotus flowers were extremely fragrant, extremely fragrant. They had a very divine, intoxicating fragrance that morning. And Narasimha Das was wondering, how come these lotuses are so differently, wonderfully aromatic today? There is something special about them. And he saw that there were hundreds of lotus flowers that were blooming. And early morning, as the sun rose, the lotus is called Arvinda Bandhu, the friend of Mam Punatu Sarvadara Vinda Bandhu Nandini. The sun is called Arvinda Bandhu. Why is the sun called Arvinda Bandhu? Because the sun helps the Arvinda, the lotus, to blossom, to bloom. Therefore, the sun is called Arvinda Bandhu. So when the sun was rising in the morning, all these lotus flowers at night, they were closed. And in the morning, in response to the sunlight, they were opening up and blossoming and blooming. And wonderful fragrance was there. So Narasimha Das picked 108 beautiful, fragrant lotuses that morning for the service of Lord Narasimhadev. And as he was carrying them in a basket, he noticed something very special. Inside the basket, he saw a small little golden effulgent girl. But she was really small. She was the size of a thumb. He had never seen anything like that. Very small, beautiful little girl. And she was smiling. Usually children, they are crying. She was smiling. So he was intrigued. What personality is this? Is this some Devi who has appeared to me? So thinking like this, he quickly hurried home to tell his wife, Narasimha Dasi, about his this discovery that naturally among the lotus, he had found a very beautiful small little girl. So he went home, and to his utter surprise, he found that while he had gone collecting flowers for the worship of Sri Narasimha Shaligram Shila, back at home, his wife had suddenly gone into labor, and she had given birth to a female child. And before the ladies could be called, before anything could be arranged, she had given birth to a beautiful baby girl. Narasimha Dasi had. And home comes our Narasimha Das with a basket full of 108 lotuses with a little girl inside it. And he sees that his wife has given birth to a beautiful baby girl. And she is doing fine. The mother and daughter both are doing fine. And he says, my dear Narasimha Dasi, look, a miracle happened. I went to collect flowers, and in the basket of 108 lotus flowers is this beautiful girl. Just take a look at her. And he showed that little girl who was the size of a thumb. And as soon as he showed to his wife, Narasimha Dasi, the girl that he had found in the basket of lotus flowers in Ganga, that girl immediately grew to the size of a newborn infant, regular size, whatever, 5 pounds, 6 pounds, regular size, and same size as the girl who had just taken birth. So they were very happy. So Narasimha Das said, this is such a miracle. You gave birth to a beautiful baby girl, and from Ganga, I got this very beautiful baby girl. So let us tell all the villagers, because they will wonder, where did the 2 girls come from? Let us tell everyone that it was a twin pregnancy, and you gave birth to 2 girls. And Narasimha Das and Narasimha Dasi, who were very great devotees of Lord Narasimha Dev, they decided to name the girls Sita and Shri. 2 girls, Sita and Shri. Later on, Sita became Srimati Sita Thakurani, and Shri also became Srimati Shri Devi, the wife of Shri Advaita Acharya. Both of them married Advaita Acharya. Shri Advaita Acharya had 2 wives, Shri and Sita. And they are not different from each other. Both of them are sisters. Both of them are manifestation of the internal potency of Krishna, coming from the spiritual world. So, this is about the birth of Srimati Sita Thakurani. Very, very divine birth. And from her childhood, Sita Thakurani, and when we say Sita Thakurani, it indicates both the girls actually. But Sita Thakurani is the more prominent one. And Sita Thakurani, from her childhood, she manifested amazing devotional qualities. She was completely devoted to Lord Krishna. Completely devotional. She was very effulgent. She was very beautiful. And she had all the signs of a very great personality. Very great personality. In fact, when she was just a few days old, as was the tradition in those days, especially in the high-class Brahmin families, as soon as a child would be born, astrological chart would be prepared for the child, because it gives an indication what the child is going to do in the future. So as they were, they called the best astrologer. The best astrologer was available to make the chart of Srimati Sita Thakurani. And what did the astrologer say? That I cannot make the chart of this personality, because she is not under the influence of the planets. In fact, she is the controller of all these planets. Because being the Yogamaya, spiritual potency, the Yogamaya potency is not under any material laws. So the astrologer put his hands up. He said, I cannot read this chart. This child is very divine. All I can say is, this child has been sent by the Supreme Lord from the spiritual world down to the material world for some special service. So I offer my obeisances to this child. And the famous astrologer offered his Dandavat Pranam to Srimati Sita Thakurani. He was only a few days old at that time. Some time passed, and in that village, a very, very famous sannyasi came. He was a sannyasi in the impersonalist school, the school of Shripad Shankaracharya. And he was an impersonalist. So he came to that village, and he heard that in this village there is a very great devotee. His name is Narsimha Das, and he has a very, very extraordinarily effulgent daughter called Srimati Sita Thakurani. You must go and take her darshan. You must go and take her darshan. So the sannyasi came to the house of Shri Narsimha Das and Srimati Narsimha Dasi, and he told them that I am a sannyasi. I am supposed to be traveling in the forests. I am not supposed to enter the homes of grihasthas. But I have been told by some very respectable villagers that in your house is a very special child. Her name is Sita. And I wish to take her darshan because I have heard that she is extraordinary. So Shri Narsimha Das and Srimati Narsimha Dasi, they said, yes, yes, please come. Please come and bless our daughter, Shri Sita Thakurani. This great sannyasi with his ekadanda, sannyas danda, he comes inside the house, clad in a saffron clothes, to offer his obeisances and offer his respects to this newborn girl. And as he comes, he is astounded to see the beauty of this very special baby girl. He's astounded. She's so effulgent. Her effulgence is like the sun. Her color, complexion, luster is like molten gold. Her eyes are like the petals of a beautiful lotus flower. And she has a very sweet smile on her face. Immediately, the sannyasi, he offers his obeisances to this very divine baby girl. And he prays to her that, my dear child, I can understand that you are a very special person. Please bless me so that I can attain mukti or liberation. And this little 3-year-old girl, Sita Thakurani, she chastised the sannyasi. She said, you are asking for mukti? You are asking for liberation? Is that the goal of life? Is that what you have learned in your sannyas ashram? This is not right. Mukti or liberation is a maid servant of bhakti, devotion. The aim of life is to love God with all our heart and soul. Aim of life is devotion, not liberation. Who has taught you all this nonsense? Give up this wrong mentality and cultivate the spirit of devotion. मुक्ति कहे गोपाल से मेरी मुक्ति बताए व्रज रज उड़ मस्तक लगे मुक्ति मुक्त हो जाए. There's a very beautiful story that happened in Shri Vrindavan Dham. There is Mukti Devi and there is Bhakti Devi. Once Mukti Devi approached Gopal, Lord Krishna, and asked him that, hey Mukunda, hey Gopal, whenever you indicate to me that a particular living entity is qualified to get liberated from this material world, I grant liberation to that person on your orders. Therefore, I am called Mukti Devi. I liberate people from this material world. But who will liberate me? Who will liberate me? How will I get liberation from this world? Therefore, our Vraj Rasik Vaishnavas, they explain, Krishna said, Mukti kahe Gopal se meri mukti pata hai. Mukti asked Gopal, tell me how I will get mukti. Vraj raj ud mastak lage, mukti mukta ho jaye. And Gopal, Krishna, told Mukti Devi that take some Vraj raj and put it on your mastak, put it on your forehead. And just by putting the holy dust of Shri Vrindavan Dham on your head, you, Mukti Devi, will attain mukti. So therefore, mukti is very insignificant. But Vraj raj, which gives bhakti, that is the real substance that we should aspire for. So little 3-year-old Sita Thakurani is preaching to that sannyasi, elderly sannyasi, that mukti is not the aim of life. Mukti is insignificant compared to bhakti. Mukti is an insignificant byproduct of bhakti. In fact, mukti is a subtle type of bhukti. There are 2 demons on the path of devotion, 2 impediments on the path of devotion that we must avoid. One is bhukti. Bhukti means sense gratification. Meat eating, illicit sex, intoxication, gambling, enjoying with our senses separate from God, separate from Krishna. That is called bhukti. Na dhanam, na janam, na sundarim, kavitam va jagadisha kamaya. These four things comprise of sense gratification or bhukti. Wealth, enjoying with the money. Sundarim, enjoying sensual gratification with the opposite sex. Na dhanam, na janam, na sundarim. Janam refers to having followers and fan following and becoming popular. That is also a subtle type of sense gratification. And kavitam means to be well known as a learned scholar, to become famous. That is also sense gratification. All these four things come under bhukti. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu tells us we should not aspire for these four things. They are bad. And the fifth is the mukti, impediment, liberation. Wanting to be liberated from this world of repeated birth and death. This world is a miserable place. This world is a miserable place. There is birth, old age, disease, and death everywhere. Lord Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Dukhalayam Ashashvatam. This world is a place of misery and it's a temporary place. Always there are transformations going on in this material world. And therefore we do not belong to this material world. We belong to the kingdom of God. We belong to Vaikuntha. And that is liberation in bhakti, in devotion, to serve Krishna. That is what we want. So Sita Thakurani is preaching to this elderly sannyasi. And this elderly sannyasi is amazed how this 3-year-old child who has barely learned how to speak is speaking such eloquent philosophy. So he immediately offers his respects, his obeisances to the child, and he requests her, please enlighten me further, and I want to become your follower. So Sita Thakurani blesses him. And from that day, the sannyasi becomes a follower of Srimati Sita Thakurani. Once there was a very wonderful ceremony going on the banks of River Ganga. And many pilgrims had assembled on the banks of Ganga for this celebration. And Sri Narasimha Das, Srimati Narasimha Dasi, and their 2 daughters, Sita Thakurani and Shri, they also went there for this special ceremony to worship Mother Ganga. And they had to go on the other side of the river. They had to cross the river because the celebrations were going on, the festivities were going on the other side. But they were a little late, and all the boatmen had already taken the pilgrims on the other side of the river, and there were no boatmen available on this side. So the parents of Srimati Sita Thakurani were very disappointed. Oh, how will we cross now? How will we cross the river? At that time, Srimati Sita Thakurani smiled and she told her parents, just hold my hands, both of you. Just hold my hands and I will help you cross. And she started walking on Ganga. And as long as the parents were holding the hands of Sita Thakurani, they were also able to walk on Ganga. And when people saw this, they thought, wow, this is such a miracle. Such a miracle has never been seen. How can these people walk on the water surface of Ganga? The river is flowing so swiftly. The river is so deep. How come they are not drowning? So they thought today Ganga Devi is manifesting some very special Leela, some very special pastime. And she's not going to let anyone drown. So let us also try. So all the ordinary village people, they also came to Ganga. And they said, we will also try to cross, walking on the surface of Ganga, just like Sita Thakurani. And they tried, and everyone sank. So they realized that this girl is someone very extraordinary. She's not a mere mortal. So in this way, Sita Thakurani, she continued to grow like the waxing moon. Just like the moon continues to grow, Sita Thakurani, with the passage of time, she grew up into a very beautiful, very devotional girl. And when she came of age, her parents were looking for a suitable groom to get her married to, a suitable boy. And one day, they had gone to a particular ghat in Ganga for their bath. And there, they saw a group of devotees who were actually chanting the holy names of Krishna and discussing Krishna Katha on the banks of Ganga. And these devotees were Sri Advaita Prabhu, Shri Srivas Thakur, his brothers, there was Shuklambar Brahmachari, and some other devotees. They were standing and they were discussing Krishna Katha, and they were chanting Krishna Nam. They were chanting some beautiful verses from the scriptures. And when Sita Thakurani and Shri, they saw these group of devotees discussing Krishna Katha, naturally they were attracted. All four of them were attracted. Narsimhadas, Narsimhadasi, and their two daughters. They were all attracted. So they walked closer to the group of these devotees who were discussing Krishna Nam and Krishna Katha. And when Sita and Shri, they had darshan of Advaita Acharya, they understood that this is a very, very divine personality. Sita Thakurani told Shri, her sister, twin sister, that look at the effulgence of this great personality, Advaita Acharya. His effulgence resembles the effulgence of millions of suns, as if millions of suns have arisen simultaneously. Such glaring spiritual effulgence is emanating from this great personality. And Shri told her sister that, my dear sister, I agree with you. I feel that all the good qualities in this world have condensed into the form of this one personality. I wonder who he is. At that time, not knowing what their daughters are discussing, Shri Narsimha Das, he approached Advaita Acharya and he introduced himself and he said, we are so attracted. We are also Vaishnavas and we are so attracted in this Navadvip. Practically no one is a devotee. Everyone is just debating and arguing. Many of them are impersonalists. Many of them are karma kandis that engage in fruitive activities because they want sense gratification. Everyone is after bhukti and mukti, sense gratification and liberation. But hardly do we see any devotees. So we are so happy. Our family is so happy to see you, a group of wonderful devotees who are engaging in matchitta madgata prana bodhayanta parasparam kathayantascha mam nityam tuschanti cha ramanti cha. We're discussing Krishna Katha so happily with each other. Very, very wonderful. Shri Advaita Acharya was very happy to see such a wonderful devotee as Shri Narsimha Das. And he invited the whole family, please come to my house and accept Krishna Prasad. So he brought them to their house to accept Krishna Prasad. And then very wonderful conversations took place between Narsimha Das and Shri Advaita Acharya. And the more Narsimha Das conversed with Shri Advaita Acharya, the more he felt that I should make this Advaita Acharya my family member. I should make him my family member. He's young. He's adorned with all good devotional qualities. He's so qualified, such a wonderful Brahman. I must offer him my daughters in charity, in marriage. So Shri Narsimha Das and Srimati Narsimha Dasi, they folded their hands one day and they begged Shri Advaita Acharya, please accept our two wonderful daughters, Sita and Shri, as your wives, please. And Shri Advaita Acharya, he happily agreed. And very wonderful marriage took place between the two sisters, Sita and Shri, with Shri Advaita Prabhu. At that time, Advaita Acharya lived in a small house in Navadvip. But after his marriage, he decided to move to a bigger house because now he had two wives, he had to take care of them. He would have children in the future. So then he made a bigger house in Shantipur and he moved to Shantipur. When Shri Advaita Acharya moved to Shantipur, a very important incident in our Gaudiya Vaishnava history happened. There is a great devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, Lord Brahmaji. In Gaura Leela, Lord Brahmaji appeared as Srila Haridas Thakur. And Haridas Thakur, he appeared in the family of meat eaters. And therefore, he was ostracized by the Orthodox Hindu society. No one wanted to talk to him. No one wanted to associate with him. And everyone ill-treated him. So Srila Haridas Thakur, wherever he went, he was ostracized from society. He went to Benapole, and there Ramchandra Khan sent a prostitute to entice Srila Haridas Thakur and cause him to fall down from his spiritual standards so that he will be criticized by everyone. But that attempt, we all know it failed. Then Srila Haridas Thakur came to Chandpur, and he was living under the care of Shri Hiranya and Govardhan Majumdars, the father and uncle of Srila Raghunath Das Goswami. And there Gopal Chakravarti attacked Haridas Thakur, criticized him, blasphemed him. And Haridas Thakur was very pained to see, as a result of this Vaishnava Aparad, Gopal Chakravarti got leprosy and suffered. So Haridas Thakur was very pained that wherever I go, people are just getting disturbed, getting envious, and they try to harm me. Better I go to a solitary place where no one can see me, no one can find me. Thinking like this, he followed along the river Ganga and came to Shantipur. And there he met Sri Advaita Acharya, Advaita Prabhu, who was living there with his two wives, Shri and Srimati Sita Thakurani. And when Advaita Acharya saw the devotional mood of Thakur Haridas, that day and night he would chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, 192 rounds at least. Constantly his tongue was vibrating the holy names of Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. He decided to get the association of Haridas Thakur. So he told Srimati Sita Thakurani that what can we do to keep Haridas Thakur with us? If we invite him to stay with us in the house, he will refuse, because it will be a scandal. We are high-class Brahmanas, and he's from a family of meat eaters. If he starts staying with us, it will be a scandal in the village, and there will be so much trouble. And Haridas Thakur would not want any of that. He's a very peaceful Vaishnava. Just wants to stay on the banks of Ganga and chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So Srimati Sita Thakurani suggested that why don't you build a cave with your own hands? You dig a cave on the banks of Ganga where the soil is very soft. And anyway, there are many crocodiles there in the Ganga. And crocodiles, they make big burrows on the bank of the river, like caves, and they live there. So just find either an abandoned cave or make a cave for Haridas Thakur and ask him to live on the banks of Ganga in the cave. And every day I will cook for him. I will cook for Haridas Thakur, and you go and give him Krishna Prasad every day. And then you can discuss with him, have Krishna Katha with him, and associate with him. Sri Advaita Acharya liked this idea very much. And with his own hands, Advaita Acharya, he built a cave for Thakur Haridas on the banks of river Ganga. And every day Sita Thakurani would cook for Haridas Thakur. Once in a year, Sri Advaita Acharya and Srimati Sita Thakurani would celebrate Shraddha ceremony. They would observe rather Shraddha ceremony, where Krishna Prasad is offered to the ancestors. But after Krishna is worshipped, there is something called as Agra Puja, where you have to, sorry, not Agra Puja. Agra Puja was offered by Yudhishthira Maharaj in the Rajasuya Yajna to Krishna in Indraprastha. Sorry, I got confused. Not Agra Puja, but there is something called as Shraddha Patra. During the Shraddha ceremony, where Krishna is offered wonderful prasad, that Mahaprasad has to be offered to the greatest personality who is present in that ceremony of Shraddha. This is called Shraddha Patra. The plate that has been offered to Krishna, the Mahaprasad, has to be offered to the most respectable personality. And Srimati Sita Thakurani and Sri Advaita Prabhu, they offered the Shraddha Patra to Sri Haridas Thakur. Such faith they had in Haridas Thakur. Haridas Thakur said, no, I am very low born. I was born in the family of meat eaters. I am not qualified. This Shraddha Patra should be given to very high class Brahmanas, not me, not a fallen person like me. He was very humble. And at that time, Sri Advaita Acharya said that, my dear Haridas Thakur, feeding you is like feeding thousands and thousands of high class Brahmanas. Feeding one person like you, who is a pure devotee of God, pure devotee of Krishna, it's like feeding thousands and thousands of Brahmanas. So this was the love and affection that Srimati Sita Thakurani and Advaita Acharya had for Haridas Thakur. In this way, the devotees continued to live very happily in Shri Vrindavan, in Shri Shantipur Dham. and Navadvip Dham. Then we'll talk about what happened few years later. We'll go to chapter 13 of the Adi Leela of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. I'll try to share my screen, dear devotees, and we'll talk about what happened. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared in this world. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared in this world, and Srimati Sita Thakurani had a very important role to play at that time. Let us discuss that. This is verse number 100. Dekhi uparaga hasi shighra ganga ghate asi anande karila ganga snana paya uparaga chale apanara manobale brahmane re dila nana dana. So I think my screen sharing is not working properly, isn't it? It's not working. Yeah, it's showing an error. So I beg your forgiveness. Please bear with me. But this is Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Leela, chapter 13, verse number 100. The translation is as follows. Srila Prabhupada translates, seeing the lunar eclipse and laughing, Sri Advaita Acharya and Sri Haridas Thakur immediately went to the bank of Sri Ganga Devi and bathed in the river in great jubilation. Taking advantage of the occasion of the lunar eclipse, Sri Advaita Acharya, by his mental strength, distributed various types of charities to the Brahmanas. Verse number 101. Jagat Ananda Maya Dekhi Mane Savismaya Thare Thore Kahe Haridas Tomara Aichana Ranga Mora Mana Parasanna Dekhi Kichu Karye Ache Bhasa. When he saw that the whole world was jubilant, Sri Haridas Thakur, his mind astonished, directly and indirectly expressed himself to Sri Advaita Acharya. Your dancing and distributing charity are very pleasing to me. I can understand that there is some special purpose in these actions. Verse number 102. Acharya Ratna Shrivasa Haila Mane Sukholasa Yai Snana Kaila Ganga Jale Anande Vivala Mana Kare Hari Sankirtana Nana Dana Kaila Manobale. Translation. Acharya Ratna, also called as Sri Chandrasekhar Acharya, who was uncle of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and Srivas Thakur were overwhelmed with joy, and immediately they went to the bank of Ganga to bathe in her holy waters. Their minds full of happiness, they chanted the Hare Krishna Mahamantra and gave charity by mental strength. Ei mata bhakta tati jara jai deshe sthiti taha taha paya manobale nache kare sankirtana anande vivala mana dana kare grahanira chale. In this way, all the devotees, wherever they were situated, in every city and every country, danced, performed Harinam Sankirtan, and gave charity by mental strength on the plea of the lunar eclipse, their minds overwhelmed with joy. This is very important, my dear friends. Even Vasudev Maharaj did this. When Lord Krishna was born, we recently celebrated Sri Krishna Janmashtami. He was in the jail, imprisoned. He had no means, no money. So he gave charity through his mind. Because he could not physically actually give charity, he did Manas Seva. He did Manas Dan. With his mind, he gave charity. And later on, when Krishna came and killed King Kansa, and Ugrasen Maharaj became the king, and Vasudev Maharaj and Devaki Rani, they were all released from the prison. At that time, when Vasudev Maharaj had the means, he actually fulfilled his desire of giving charity and actually gave charity of cows and gold to the qualified Brahmanas. So here also, if you don't have means, if we don't have the artha, we don't have the physical wealth to give charity, we can always give it through our mind. Verse number 104. Brahmana sajjana nari nana dravye thai bhari aila sabe yau tu kalaiya jena kancha shona dyuti dekhi bala kera murti आशीर्वाद करे सुख पाइया. All sorts of respectable Brahman, gentlemen and ladies, carrying plates filled with various gifts, came with their presentations, seeing the newborn child, whose form resembled natural glaring gold. Our little Nimai Vishwambar, newborn child, resembled natural glaring gold. All of them happily offered their blessings, Ashirwad. Verse number 105. Savitri Gauri Saraswati Shachi Rambha Arundhati Arayata Deva Nari Gana Nana Dravye Patra Bhari Brahmani Raveshadhari Asi Sabe Kare Darashana. This is so amazing. Translation. Srila Prabhupada ji translates, dressing themselves as the wives of Brahmanas, all the celestial ladies, including the wives of Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, Lord Narsimhadev, King Indra, and Vasishtha Rishi, along with Rambha, a dancing girl of heaven, came there with varieties of gifts. Purport by His Divine Grace, Abhay Charana Arvinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ji writes, when Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was a newborn baby, he was visited by the neighboring ladies, most of whom were the wives of respectable Brahmanas. In the dress of Brahmanas' wives, the celestial ladies, like wives of Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva, also came to see the newborn child. Ordinary people saw them as respectable Brahmana ladies of the neighborhood, but actually they were all celestial ladies dressed in that way. Hare Krishna. Verse number 106. Antarikshe deva gana gandharva siddha charana stuti nritya kare vadya gita nartaka vadaka bhata Navadvipe Jaranata Sabe Asi Nache Paiya Prita. In outer space, all the demigods, including the inhabitants of Gandharvalok, Siddhalok, and Charanalok, offered their prayers and danced to the accompaniment of music, songs, and the beating of drums. Similarly, in Navadvip city, all the professional dancers, musicians, blessers gathered together, dancing in great jubilation. Wow. So see, we are in the season of celebrating the appearance of divine personalities. Just now we celebrated Shri Krishna Janmashtami. We celebrated Srila Prabhupada's appearance day. Now we are going to celebrate in few days the appearance of Srimati Sita Thakurani, then Srimati Lalita Sakhi, and then Srimati Radhika Rani. So all appearance. So this is the appearance of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is a combined incarnation of Radha and Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ji writes in the purport, as there are professional singers, dancers, and reciters of prayers in the heavenly planets, so in India, still, there are professional dancers, blessers, and singers, all of whom assemble together during householder ceremonies, especially marriages and birth ceremonies. These professional men earn their livelihood by taking charity on such occasions from the homes of the Hindus. Eunuchs also take advantage of such ceremonies to receive charity. That is their means of livelihood. Such men never become servants or engage themselves in agriculture or business occupations. They simply take charity from neighborhood friends to maintain themselves peacefully. The Bhattas are a class of Brahmanas who go to such ceremonies to offer blessings by composing poems with references to the Vedic scriptures. So Srila Prabhupada is giving us this information. Next verse number 107. Keba ase, keba jaya, keba nache, keba gaya, sambhalite nare kara bola. Khandile ka dukha shoka, pramoda purita loka, mishra haila anande vivala. Translation: no one could understand who was coming and who was going, who was dancing and who was singing, nor could they understand one another's language. Yet all unhappiness and lamentation were immediately dissipated, and people became all jubilant. Thus, Sri Jagannath Mishra was also overwhelmed with joy. Verse number 108. Acharya Ratna Shri Vasa Jagannatha Mishra Pasha Asitare Kare Savadhana Karaila Jata Karma Ye Achila Vidhi Dharma Tabe Mishra Kare Nana Dana. Shri Chandrasekhar Acharya and Shri Srivas Thakur both came to Shri Jagannath Mishra and drew his attention in various ways. They performed the ritualistic ceremonies prescribed at the time of birth according to religious principles. Jagannath Mishra also gave varieties of charity. Verse number 109. Yautuka pailayata ghareva achila kata sabadhana vipredila dana jatanarta kagayana bhata akinchana jana dhana diya kaila sabarmana. Whatever riches Sri Jagannath Mishra collected in the form of gifts and presentations, and whatever he had in his house, he distributed among the Brahmanas, professional singers, dancers, bhattas, and the poor. He honored them all by giving them riches in charity. Such a generous person Sri Jagannath Mishra is. Whatever he had, he just gave away in charity. 110 verse. Shrivasera Brahmani Mana Shrivasera Brahmani Namatara Malini Acharya Ratnera Patni Sange Sindura Haridra Taila Khai Kala Nari Kela Diya Puje Nari Ganarange. Very beautiful. The wife of Srivas Thakur, whose name was Srimati Malini Devi, accompanied by the wife of Sri Chandrasekhar Acharya Ratna and other ladies, came there in great happiness to worship the baby with paraphernalia such as vermilion, turmeric, oil, fused rice, bananas, and coconuts. Vermilion, khai, fused rice, bananas, this is the purport. Vermilion, fused rice such as khai, bananas, coconuts, and turmeric mixed with oil are all auspicious gifts for such a ceremony. As there is puffed rice, so there is another preparation of rice called khai or fused rice, which along with bananas is taken as a very auspicious presentation. Also, turmeric mixed with oil and vermilion makes an auspicious ointment that is smeared over the body of a newborn baby. This vermilion is sindoor, the red sindoor. So turmeric means haldi with oil and kumkum, red kumkum. vermilion, makes an auspicious ointment that is smeared over the body of a newborn baby or a person who is going to marry. These are all auspicious activities in family affairs. We see that 500 years ago, at the birth of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all these ceremonies were performed rigidly. But at present, such ritualistic performances hardly ever take place. Generally, a pregnant mother is sent to the hospital. And as soon as her child is born, he is washed with an antiseptic. Hare Krishna. And this concludes everything. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Next verse, verse number 111. Advaita Acharya Bharya. Now we come to the main topic of discussion, Srimati Sita Thakurani. So please listen very carefully, my dear friend. This beautiful, amazing, sweet poetry by our beloved Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Leela, chapter 13, verse number 111. So beautiful. Please drink with your ears and be happy. Advaita Acharya Bharya Jagat Pujita Arya Nama Tara Sita Thakurani Acharyera Agya Paya Gela Upahara Laya Dekhite Balaka Shiromani. Aha. Advaita Acharya Bharya, the wife Bharya of Sri Advaita Acharya. Jagata Pujita Arya. She is worshipped by the whole world as the most cultured lady. Arya is the most cultured man. Krishna tells Arjun in the beginning of Bhagavad Gita, first chapter, second chapter, don't be an Arya. Don't be an Arya. Don't be the opposite of a cultured man. When Arjun refuses to fight, Krishna says, don't be an Arya. So Arya means a very cultured devotee. And Arya means the most advanced cultured devotee lady, Vaishnavi. So Jagata Pujita Arya, the most worshipable, most advanced, most cultured Vaishnavi. Nama, whose name is Tara, Nama Tara, her name is Sita Thakurani. The topic of today's discussion. Sita Thakurani. Advaita Acharya Bharya Jagata Pujita Arya Nama Tara Sita Thakurani Acharyera Agya Paya Gela Upahara Laya Dekhite Balaka Shiromani. Balaka Shiromani is our little Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, newborn Nimai. Acharyera Agya Pai, after receiving permission from her husband, Shri Advaita Acharya, Gela Upaharalaya. She went to the house of Shachi Devi and Jagannath Mishra with Upahar, with gifts, presentations. Why? And also to Dekhite, also to take darshan of Balaka Shiromani, taking darshan of little Nimai. Translation. One day, shortly after Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was born, Sri Advaita Acharya's wife, Srimati Sita Thakurani, who is worshipable by the whole world, took her husband's permission and went to see that topmost child with all kinds of gifts and presentations. Yeah, purport. It appears that Sri Advaita Acharya had two different houses, one at Shantipur and one at Navadvip. When Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was born, Advaita Acharya was residing not at his Navadvip house, but at his Shantipur house. Therefore, as formerly explained in text 99, from Advaita's old paternal house, Nijalaya, in Shantipur, Sita came to Navadvip to present gifts to the newborn child, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Let's see what happens. Suvarnera Kadi Bauli Rajata Mudra Pashuli Suvarnera Angada Kankana Dubahute Divya Shankara Jate Ramala Banka Swarna Mudrarana Haragana. What did Srimati Sita Thakurani bring as gifts for Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? That is described in this word. Srimati Sita Thakurani brought different kinds of golden ornaments. Suvarnera Kadi Bauli. Kada. Suvarna means gold. Golden ornaments. Rajata Mudra. gold coins. She also got golden armlets, necklaces, anklets, and bangles for the hands. Pashuli is a kind of ornament for the foot, anklet. Suvarnera Angada, kind of ornament made of gold. Kankana, another kind of ornament for the hand. And Dubahute, 2 arms. Divya Shankha, conch shell made of gold. Different ornaments in the shape of Shankha made of gold. Malabanka, bangles for the foot. And Swarna Mudrara, made of gold. Nana Hara Gan, different, many golden necklaces she got for little Nimai. And our Acharya explained some of them were for Shachi Mata, also some were for Jagannath Mishra that were sent by Sri Advaita Acharya. So she got gifts for all of them, whole family. 113 verse. Vyagra Nakha Hema Jadi Hati Patta Sutra Dori Hasta Pade Rajata Abharana Chitra Varna Patta Shadi Bhuni Photo Patta Phati Swarna Raupya Mudra Bahudha. Vyagra means tiger. Nakha means the nail of a tiger. Hema Jadi means set in gold. So she made a golden locket to be worn around the neck of the Vyagra Nakha, tiger nail set in gold. And many. Kati Patta Sutra Dori, silken threads for the waist. How we wear Narsimha Kavach, it is made of silken threads around the neck. So she had made similar silken colorful belts, waist belts for the child. Hasta Padera, then for hands and legs also, yata, all kinds of abharan, all kinds of ornaments for the hands and lotus feet of little Nimai. Chitra Varna, Patta Sadi. She got silken sari, silken sari with Chitra Varna, with different printed designs on that sari, silken saris. She got. Then she got small patta, so small jackets for the child. Patta Padi of embroidered silk, Swarna, gold, Raupya, silver, Mudra, coins, Bahudhana, and all kinds of gold coins and silver coins and all kinds of gifts she got for our little Nimai and his family. Translation. There were also tiger nails set in gold, waist decorations of silk and lace, ornaments for the hands and legs, nicely printed silken saris, and a child's garment, also made of silk. Many other riches, including gold and silver coins, were also presented by Srimati Sita Thakurani to baby Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So this tiger nail set in gold, it is said that it wards off all the evil influences, wards off bad omens, bad luck. So out of love for the child, Srimati Sita Thakurani got tiger nails set in gold for little Nimai to wear. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. From the gifts presented by Srimati Sita Thakurani, Advaita Acharya's wife, it appears that Sri Advaita Acharya was at that time a very rich man. Of course, Sri Advaita Acharya is the son of Kuber Pandit, a very high-class Brahman from East Bengal, Bangladesh. And Kuber Pandit was very rich, and he is an incarnation of Kuber. The incarnation of Kuber, the demigod, who is the treasurer of the Devatas. So yes, Advaita Acharya was a very rich man at that time. Although Brahmanas are not the rich men of society, Sri Advaita Acharya, being the leader of the Brahmanas in Shantipur, was considerably well-to-do. Therefore, he presented many ornaments to the baby, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Now, this is a different story now. We don't have time to get into this. But Kamala Kanta Vishwas, asking for 300 rupees from the king of Jagannath Puri, Maharaj Prataprudra, on the plea that Advaita Acharya was in death for that amount, indicates that such a rich man who could present many valuable ornaments, saris, etc., thought it difficult to repay 300 rupees. Therefore, the value of a rupee at that time was many thousands of times what it is now. At present, no one feels difficulty over a debt of 300 rupees, nor can an ordinary man accumulate such valuable ornaments to present to a friend's son. Probably the value of 300 rupees at that time was equal to the present value of 30,000 rupees. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada is telling us. Verse number 114. Durva dhanya gorochana harindra kunkuma chandan mangala dravya patra bhariya vastra gupta dola chadi sange laiya dasi chedi vastra lankar petyari bhariya. Translation: riding in a palanquin covered with cloth, accompanied by maid servants, Srimati Sita Thakurani came to the house of Sri Jagannath Mishra, bringing with her many auspicious articles such as fresh grass, paddy, gorochan, turmeric, kumkum, sandalwood, and other things. All these presentations filled a large basket. This is real opulence. To have all these natural Krishna given, God given things, and to give it to devotees. So we saw how Jagannath Mishra and Shachi Mata, whatever they had in their house, whatever gifts they had received, they were giving them back to the different visitors who came, to different brahmanas and other neighbors who were coming, giving away gifts. And people, devotees, friends who were visiting their house, they were bringing so many gifts for them. This is what Srila Rupa Goswami explains in Nectar of Instruction, Sri Upadeshamrita, the loving exchanges between devotees. Dadati pratik drinati. We should give gifts and we should receive gifts with gratitude. That is what we are seeing in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. Therefore, Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita very much teaches us Vaishnava etiquettes. And here again see, how was Srimati Sita Thakurani traveling? She was traveling not just walking on the road where all sorts of people can see her. No, she was riding a palanquin, accompanied from all sides by her maid servants. And that palanquin was covered with a cloth so that no one can see Srimati Sita Thakurani. In this way, she came to the house of Shachi Mata and Jagannath Mishra with all her gifts. Now, all this durva, grass, they are all very auspicious articles. Auspicious articles for such ceremonies. So now, we'll not read the purport because we have run out of time already. It's already 1 hour, 4 o'clock. So we'll just read the translations. Verse number 115. Bhaksha bhojya upahara sange laila bahubhara shachi grihe haila upanita dekhiya balaka thama Sakshad Gokula Kana Varna Matra Dekhi Viparita. Very beautiful. When Srimati Sita Thakurani came to the house of Srimati Shachi Devi, bringing with her many kinds of eatables, Bhaksha Bhojya, many kinds of eatables, then Upahara, other presentations like clothes, dresses, and other gifts. Srimati Sita Thakurani was astonished to see the newborn child, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. For she appreciated that except for a difference in color, Varna Matra Dekhe Viparita, except for a difference in the color, the child Dekhiya Balaka Sakshad Gokulakan. The child was directly Krishna of Gokul himself. So wonderful. She could understand. Shri Sita Thakur could understand this is Krishna who has come in a golden form. Sarva, next verse, this is verse number 116. Sarva anga sunirmana suvarna pratima bhana sarva anga sulakshana maya. Balakera divya jyoti dekhi paila bahu priti Vatsalyete dravilarida. Ah, so beautiful. Now the beauty of Shri Nimai, beauty of little Nimai that Srimati Sita Thakurani is witnessing, is beholding, is being destroyed. Sarva anga sunirman. Aha. All the limbs of little Nimai were sunirman. Nirman means constructed, formed. Each and every limb, each and every part of the transcendental body of little Nimai was extremely beautiful. Su means very beautiful. Sarva anga sunirmana suvarna pratima bhana. Suvarna pratima, golden form. Suvarna pratima bhana, as if this boy was, Nimai was made of gold, pure gold, not gold of this world, not gold of the heavenly planets, not the 24 karat gold that we see. Please don't compare our darling Nimai, our Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, with the gold that we have in our possession. No, that is earthly gold. Then there is, this is Laukik gold. Then there is Divya gold, Divya Swarna. That is the gold that the Devatas and the Devis in the heavenly planets wear. That is superior to 24 karat gold. But even superior to that is the Chintamani gold of Goloka Vrindavan. So our Gokule Rakana, our Gokulesh Krishna is wearing the spiritual gold, which is the topmost. Sarva Anga Sulakshana Maya. All the limbs of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu were decorated with the auspicious markings. So Krishna has certain signs, 19 symbols on his lotus feet. Srimati Radharani also has auspicious symbols on her lotus feet. And our Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has the combined all the auspicious signs that Krishna and Radharani have on their lotus feet are present. Both of them combined are present on the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Radha Krishna Nahiya. Seeing the transcendental bodily effulgence of the child, each of his nicely constructed limbs full of auspicious signs and resembling a form of gold, Srimati Sita Thakurani was very pleased. And because of her maternal affection, Vatsalyete Priti, because of her maternal affection, Priti Vatsalyete Dravila Hridaya, because of her Vatsalya Priti, Vatsalya Prem, Dravila Hridaya, her heart felt as if it was melting with love when she saw this form of Nimai. When will this happen to us? When will this happen to us? We'll sing this verse again. Verse number 116. Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is really Kaviraj. Sarva anga sunirmana suvarna pratima bhana sarva anga sulakshana maya balakera divya jyoti dekhi paila bahu priti vatsalyete dravilarida. Ah, so wonderful, so wonderful. 117. Durva dhanya dila shirse kaila bahu ashishe chiranjeevi how tui bhai. Wow, this is amazing. Shri Sita Thakurani is giving her blessings. Dakini shankini haite shankha upajila chinte Dare nama tuila nimai. Wow, this is such a jewel of a verse. Let's drink this verse. Very beautiful. Verse number 70, 117. Durva, fresh, auspicious grass. Dhanya, paddy and other rice and barley, other auspicious grains. Dila shirse. She placed it on the head of little Nimai because there are auspicious cultural ceremonies. Kaila Bahu Ashish. And she gave many, many blessings, Ashish, Ashirwad, to little Nimai. Our Sita Thakurani is blessing Nimai, who is just born. What is she saying? Chiranjeevi ho tui bhai. Because see, 8 daughters were born to Sri Jagannath Mishra and Srimati Shachi Mata, and all the 8 daughters passed away soon after birth. Then they had a son, Sri Vishwarup. And now the younger brother is Sri Vishwabhar, our Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Sita Thakurani is not forgetting the elder brother, Sri Vishwarup. She is saying, Chiranjeevi how dui bhai. Both you, my dear newborn child, little Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and your elder brother, Vishwarup, who at that time was around 10, 12 years old. May both of you be Chiranjeevi. May you live a very long life. Chiranjeevi, dui bhai. So Chiranjeevi actually is one of the names of Krishna. Chiranjeevi or Chirayu. These are names of Krishna. Chiranjeevi how dui bhai. Dakini Shankini, the ghost and the witches, Haite Shanka, doubt, Upajila. Shanka Upajila, a doubt came in her mind. 8 daughters had died previously. Is it some influence of some Dakini, Shankini, some ghosts, some witches? Are they having an influence? So she got a Shanka Upajila. She got a doubt and Chinte. She was worrying about a little newborn baby. So what happened? Chitte dare. Chitte dare. She was, dare means fear. And chitta means in her heart, in her consciousness. She became very afraid for the safety and security of the newborn child. So what did she do? Nama thuila ni. She, Srimati Sita Thakurani, is the one who gave the name to the Supreme Lord, Nimai. Hare Krishna. See, that's why in our Gaudiya Parampara, Srimati Sita Thakurani has a very important role to play. She fed and nourished Srila Haridas Thakur. She would give advice, because she had 3 sons. She used to give advice to Shachi Mata, like a loving sister, how to take care of Nimai, how to take care of Vishwarup. They were best friends. Malini Devi, the wife of Srivas Thakur, Srimati Sita Thakurani, and Sri Shachi Mata. These 3 were the best friends. How wonderful. So she said that because I'm afraid that these ghosts and witches might have a negative influence on this little precious, beautiful newborn child, and I want the very best for him, let us name him Nimai. Why? Because the Prasuti Griha, where Nimai was born, in the house of Sri Jagannath Mishra and Shachi Mata, that was located under a neem tree. And as we all know, neem tree is almost a kalpavriksha tree. Neem tree, coconut tree, these are very auspicious trees. Because neem tree specifically has got a lot of antiseptic properties. Any infection, bacterial infection, viral infection, a neem tree oil can cure. It has got natural antiseptic properties. Neem tree is very powerful. Neem leaves are very good for health. So neem tree is very, very special. Neem wood is used to make beads. Neem wood is used to make deities. So neem trees are very, very special. And neem tree, because it has medicinal properties, antiseptic properties, neem tree is also known to ward off ghosts and witches and evil spirits. It wards off. So little Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was born under a neem tree, and Srimati Sita Thakurani wanted the neem tree to protect little Nimai. So she named him Nimai. That if there is neem in the name of Nimai, then all the evil influences will be warded off. Durva dhanya dila shirse kaila bahu ashishe chiranjeevi ho duri bhai. Dakini shankini haite shankha upajila chitte dare nama thuila nimai. This is how our little Chaitanya Mahaprabhu got the name Nimai, because of Srimati Sita Thakurani. We'll read Srila Prabhupada's purport. Our most beloved Srila Prabhupada, our ever well-wisher Srila Prabhupada, is Amog Vachan. Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport, Dakini and Shankhini are two companions of Lord Shiva and his wife Srimati Parvati Devi, who are supposed to be extremely inauspicious, having been born of ghostly life. It is believed that such inauspicious living creatures cannot go near a neem tree. At least medically, it is accepted that neem wood is extremely antiseptic, and formerly it was customary to have a neem tree in front of one's home. On very large roads in India, especially in Uttar Pradesh, there are hundreds and thousands of neem trees. Neem wood is so antiseptic that the Ayurvedic science uses it to cure leprosy. Medical scientists have extracted the active principle of the neem tree, which is called margosic acid. Neem is used for many purposes, especially to brush the teeth. See, I forgot to mention this. To brush the teeth. In Indian villages, 90% of the people use neem twigs for this purpose. Because of all the antiseptic effects of the neem tree, and because Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was born beneath a neem tree, Srimati Sita Thakurani gave the Lord the name Nimai. Later in his youth, he was celebrated as Nimai Pandit. And in the neighborhood villages, he was called by that name. Although his real name was Vishwambhar. Vishwambhar was a name given by his maternal grandfather, Sri Nilambar Chakravarti. Vishwambhar. But Nimai name was given by Srimati Sita Thakurani. Oh, wonderful. So the Navadvip Leela of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appears in three forms. He appears as Nimai, the newborn child, Nimai, named by Srimati Sita Thakurani. When he grew up and he started learning and studying, he became very learned and could defeat everyone in arguments. That time he took the form of, he is called Nimai Pandit. And when he went to Gaya to perform the Shraddha ceremony of his departed father, Sri Jagannath Mishra, he met his spiritual master, Sri Ishwar Puri Maharaj, and got initiation from Sri Ishwar Puri Maharaj, got mantra diksha, and then he started manifesting himself as a devotee. He came back to Sri Navadvip Dham and he inaugurated the Nam Sankirtan movement. And he would sing and dance in Srivasangan in the house of Srimati Sita Thakurani and Advaita Prabhu, in his own courtyard, on the banks of Ganga, on the streets of Navadvip. He would sing and dance and do Harinam Sankirtan all day long, all night long. And that Nimai is called a Bhavuk Nimai. So the Navadvip Leela of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the first 24 years of his Leela, is divided into three types. There is Nimai, the newborn Nimai. There is Nimai Pandit, the scholar Nimai. And there is Bhavuk Nimai, the disciple of Sri Ishwar Puri Maharaj, who Nama Sankirtanarambhe Bhavishyami Shachi Sutta Swarnaditi Ramasthaya Navadvipa Janashraye. That Nimai who is mentioned in our Puranic literatures, predicted in our Puranic literatures, that he will come and he will inaugurate the Sankirtan movement. Nama Sankirtana Arambhe. That is Bhavuk Nimai, who chanted and cried and danced. Verse number 118. Putra mata snana dine dila vastra vibhushane putra saha mishre re sammani shachi mishrera pujalaya manete harishahaya ghare aila Sita Thakurani. On the day, the mother, Srimati Shachi Mata, and the son, Nimai, bathed and left the maternity home, the Prasuti Gruha. Srimati Sita Thakurani, at that time, gave them all kinds of ornaments and garments, and then also honored Sri Jagannath Mishra, gave him also gifts. Then, Srimati Sita Thakurani, being honored by Mother Shachi Devi and Jagannath Mishra, was greatly happy within her mind, and thus she returned home. Ah, what a beautiful verse. Putra mata snana dine dila vastra vibhushane putra saha mishrere sammani shachi mishrera pujalaya mane te harishahaya ghare aila Sita Thakurani. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada ji writes, on the 5th day from the birth of a child, as also on the 9th day, the mother bathes either in the Ganga or in another holy place. This is called Nishkramana, or the ceremony of coming out of the maternity home. Nowadays, the maternity home is a hospital. But formerly, in every respectable house, one room was set aside as a maternity home where children would take birth. And on the 9th day after the birth of a child, the mother would come into the regular rooms in the ceremony called Nishkramana. Of the 10 purificatory processes, Nishkramana is one. These are samskaras. Formerly, especially in Bengal, the higher castes observed 4 months after the birth of a child as a quarantine. The mother and the child would not come out of the prasuti gruha, of the maternity home, for 4 months previously. At the end of the 4th month, the mother could see the sunrise. Later, the higher castes, namely the Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, and Vaishyas, observed only 21 days as a quarantine, whereas the Shudras had to observe 30 days. For the sections of society known as Karta Bhaja or Satima, the mother of the child was immediately purified after the quarantine by the throwing of Hari Nuta, small pieces of sweetmeat, in Sankirtan. Srimati Shachi Devi and Sri Jagannath Mishra, with the newborn child Nimai, were honored by Srimati Sita Thakurani. Similarly, while Srimati Sita Thakurani was returning home, she was also honored by Sri Shachi Devi and Sri Jagannath Mishra. That was the system in respectable families in Bengal. Hare Krishna. End of the purport. Oh Prabhu, you are sharing the screen. Sharanga Prabhu, you are Kalpa Vriksha. You are Vansha Kalpataru. So wonderful. Thank you, Prabhu. I am so grateful to you. So I'm so happy all the devotees are able to see these beautiful verses from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Leela. Such wonderful description of Srimati Sita Thakurani. So thank you very much. So this is the description of birth of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. Now I have here Chaitanya Bhagavat, in which also there is description, and Sita Thakurani is mentioned. But I will not read those verses because then it will be too much time. Already I am way over time. So now I have got here my notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I have 8 more points to cover, and it's already almost 4:30. So let me cover as much as I can in the next 5 minutes, and I will conclude at 4:30. So one important point to remember, my dear friends, about Srimati Sita Thakurani is what is her Vraj Swarup? What is the Vraj Swarup of Srimati Sita Thakurani? How many of you are curious and anxious to know? Haribol. Sometimes devotees ask. So all the associates of Krishna, they came in Gaur Leela. So a lot of mystery is going to be revealed today. Srimati Sita Thakurani is Yogamaya Shakti of Krishna. And in Krishna Leela, in Vrindavan Dham, Yogamaya is present as Shri Purnamasi Devi. Purnamasi Devi. She is the grandmother of Krishna's friend, Madhu Mangal. Purnamasi Devi is the mother of Shri Garga Muni, Shri Gargacharya. And Purnamasi Devi is an elderly lady in Vrindavan who is always advising everyone. She will advise Yashoda Maiya. She will make all sorts of, she will advise Kirtida Sundari, the mother of Srimati Radharani. And she will very tactfully make arrangements for Radha and Krishna to meet. And then the same Purnamasi, the Yogamaya Shakti of Krishna, the Leela Shakti of Krishna in the spiritual world, because she's elderly, she doesn't enter the Nikunja. The Nikunja Leela is very confidential between Radha and Krishna. But Purnamasi Devi, Yogamaya of Krishna, is present in the Nikunja in a different form. And what is that form? Vrinda Devi. Hare Krishna. This Yogamaya is Vrinda Devi also, present in the Nikunja, serving in the Madhurya Leela. Purnamasi Devi arranges all sorts of Leelas. Sakhya Leela, Dasya Leela, Vatsalya Leela, mainly. And some Madhurya Leela also. But in the Nikunja Leela, the Madhurya Leela is facilitated by Yogamaya in the form of Srimati Vrinda Devi, Tulsi Maharani. What happens when Krishna goes to Dwarka? Is Purnamasi present there? Yes. The Yogamaya of Krishna is present in Dwarka also as Srimati Subhadra Devi. Hare Krishna. So this Yogamaya Shakti appeared as Srimati Sita Thakurani in Gaura Leela. Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Yadavaya Namaha Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Nama Gopal Govindaram Shri Madhusudana Giridhari Gopinath Madana Mohan Shri Chaitanya Nityananda Shri Advaita Sita Hari Guru Vaishnava Bhagavata Gita. Shri Narottam Das Thakur has written this beautiful bhajan. Shri Chaitanya Nityananda Shri Advaita Sita. He is offering his obeisances to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Shri Nityananda Prabhu, Shri Advaita Acharya, and Srimati Sita Thakurani. Shri Chaitanya Nityananda Shri Advaita Sita Hari Guru Vaishnava Bhagavata Gita. Hari to Krishna, Guru to our Shiksha Guru, Diksha Guru, Hari Guru Vaishnava, to all the Vaishnavas, all the devotees all over the world. Bhagavat to Srimad Bhagavatam, my obeisances to Bhagavatam, and Gita, my obeisances to Bhagavad Gita. So everything is there in this one verse. Shri Chaitanya Nityananda Shri Advaita Sita Hari Guru Vaishnava Bhagavata Gita. So this is the identity of Srimati Sita Thakurani. What is her mood of service to Krishna? It is Vatsalya Prem. Vatsalya Prem. So Malini Devi, the wife of Srivas Thakur, Srimati Sita Thakurani, the wife of Advaita Prabhu, and Srimati Shachi Devi, the mother of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. They are all in Vatsalya Prem. Very best friends. Always together thinking how to serve Krishna, how to serve their little Nimai. So there are so many pastimes. Each pastime will take 5 to 10 minutes to discuss. So we cannot. We'll leave it for some other time. But I will conclude, my dear friends. There are at least 7 other pastimes. But I will conclude with just one thing. I am sitting here with my bead bag. So I would like to share with all of you that who is this bead bag? Hare Krishna. Who is this bead bag? This bead bag is Srimati Sita Thakurani. And I will explain how. It's very beautiful. Srimati Sita Thakurani, as explained in Gaura Parshada Charitravali, it's also a book, just like Gaur Ganadesh Deepika, which tells us about the identity of the associates of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the Krishna Lila. So we know that Srimati Sita Thakurani is the Yogamaya Shakti of Krishna. And she is present in Krishna Lila in Vrindavan Dham as Purnamasi, Yogamaya Shakti. She is the Lila Shakti of Krishna. So all the Leelas of Krishna, including the Rasa Lila, ultimately they take place under the guidance of Purnamasi Devi. Purnamasi Devi sends Vrinda Devi inside the Rasa Lila, but everything, all the arrangements are supervised, overseen by Srimati Purnamasi Devi. Purnamasi Devi is always making arrangements for Radha and Krishna to meet. Our Japamala has got 108 beads. These 108 beads are the 108 gopis of Krishna. And this Meru Mani or the Pradhan Mani is Krishna. And he has a green cloth tied to him, which represents the peacock feather on his head. So this is Krishna. Shiki Pichamaule is Krishna. This is Krishna, and there are 108 gopis headed by Srimati Radharani. Golok year of Premadhana, Harinam Sankirtan. Golok Vrindavan, there is Raslila going on. And Raslila takes place while chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Golok year of Premadhana, Harinam Sankirtan. So Narottam Das Thakur with a Manjari in the eternal Leela is telling us. Golok year of Premadhana, Harinam Sankirtan. Therefore, when we chant, we are actually meditating on the Rasalila. We are meditating on the Rasalila. So our index finger comes out, our pointer finger comes out of the bead bag. Srimati Radharani, along with her gopis, are standing around Krishna. Krishna is there in the center, and they are enjoying their pastimes. Rasalila is taking place as we chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. This is the Yugal mantra. Hare is Radharani, and Krishna and Ram are the names of Lord Krishna. So Hare Krishna is Radha Krishna. It's the Yugal mantra. As we're chanting and going around, chanting our round, Rasalila is going on. Rasalila takes place under the guidance of the Yoga Maya Shakti of Krishna. Bhagavan Pitaratri Sharadotpulla Mallika Viksharantum Manah Chakre Yoga Maya Upashrita. Krishna resorted to his Yoga Maya Shakti. This is the first verse of the Rasa Panchadhyay. The 5 chapters dealing with the Rasa Leela, describing the Rasa Leela. Srila Shukadeva Goswami begins, Sri Shuka Uvacha, Bhagavan Apita Ratri, on Sharat Purnima, that night, Bhagavan Apita Ratri, Sharadotpulla Mallika, Viksharantum Manah Chakre, Yoga Maya Upashrita. Krishna performed the Rasa Leela under the guidance of, under the supervision of, under the influence of Yoga Maya Shakti. Yoga Maya Shakti. Yoga Maya Shakti is Purnamasi Devi. And Purnamasi Devi always wears a white sari. Any painting of Purnamasi Devi that you see, she always wears a white sari. So white color represents Yoga Maya, Purnamasi Devi. And therefore the bead bag is white. The bead bag is white, indicating Purnamasi Devi or Srimati Sita Thakurani. And under her guidance, inside her Nikunja, the Raslila takes place as we chant. So this is the meditation. And what is the index finger? Index finger represents Gopishwar Mahadev, Lord Shiva. Because he's the guardian of the Raslila. He's standing outside and guarding the Raslila. So this is Gopeshwar Mahadev. And inside there is Srimati Radharani with Krishna and the gopis, 108 gopis, and they're dancing to the tune of Hare Krishna Mahamantra, enjoying the Raslila under the guidance of Purnamasi Devi. The white sari of Purnamasi Devi is the white bead bag. So this is the meditation, my dear friends, as we chant our japa. And Srimati Sita Thakurani is always there with us. So Srimati Sita Thakurani ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hitai Gaur Premanandi. Hari Hari. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Jai Srila Prabhupada. I will stop here. So I will stop here, dear devotees. Very grateful to all of you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Prabhu.
Thank you so much.
Wonderful.
Beautiful.
And, you know, we would not have known all these details. Thank you so much.
I learned so much today. I didn't even know so many things. Thank you so much, Prabhu. You know, I had 2 questions, and apparently it seems like you read my mind. You know, the first question I wanted to ask you was the Swarup of Thakurani, Sita Thakurani and Rajavila. You answered it. And the second question, I always seen very exalted devotees who carry this white color of the bead bag, and I always had that question, and then you just answered it. Because of the white sari. Okay.
Hare Krishna. So thank you very much, dear Janeshwar Gaurang Prabhu. Thank you, Sharang Prabhu. Thank you, all the devotees. And all glories to all of you. Hare Krishna.
All glories to
Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.